Have you ever done someone a favor and instantly regretted it? I thought I was just house-sitting for my neighbor, but one late-night phone call changed everything. What I found in that house still sends chills down my spine. It started with a favor I wish I'd never agreed to. My teacher, Mrs. Hargrove, asked me to house-sit for her over Christmas while she visited her daughter. I'd done it before. Fed the cat, watered the plants, but this time was different. She apologized for the house phone. "It rings sometimes," she said, "but it's old and cuts out before I can pick up. My grandson George keeps promising to fix it." I didn't think much of it. Who uses a landline anymore? Her house was ordinary enough, creaky floors, the faint smell of mothballs. But there was something about the silence that pressed against my ears. By the second night, I noticed the little things. Doors clicking, the cat staring at the empty hallway as though it saw something I couldn't. Then came the ringing. It was 2:13 a.m. The sound echoed through the house like it was bouncing off the walls. I froze, staring at the phone on the kitchen counter. It was one of those old rotary models, out of place in an otherwise modern home. I let it ring, expecting it to stop. It didn't. My heart raced as I walked toward it. I don't know what I thought would happen, but when I lifted the receiver, I was met with a deafening silence. No dial tone, no static, nothing. Just emptiness. Then I heard it. A whisper, barely audible but unmistakably there. A single word. "Upstairs." I slammed the phone down, heart pounding. Upstairs? I wasn't about to check. I tried to go back to sleep, but every creak of the house sounded louder. My heart pounded in my chest. And then, at 3 a.m., the phone rang again. This time, I didn't hesitate. "Who is this?" I shouted into the receiver. The whisper returned, more distinct now, like someone was just behind me. "You should see." The line went dead. I stood in the kitchen, paralyzed. Then I heard the faintest sound from upstairs, a soft click, like a door being gently shut. Every instinct told me to leave, but I couldn't. Maybe it was the adrenaline, maybe it was something else, but I grabbed the flashlight Mrs. Hargrove had left and crept up the stairs. Each step groaned under my weight, announcing my presence. At the top, the hallway was darker than I remembered, like the shadows had deepened. The flashlight beam shook as I moved it across the doors. The guest room door was ajar. I pushed it open, half expecting to see nothing, but the bed was rumpled as though someone had been lying there. On the nightstand was the phone, identical to the one in the kitchen. I thought there was only supposed to be one. Before I could process what I was seeing, the phone began to ring. Slowly, I reached out and picked it up. This time, the whisper was clear. "Turn around." I spun, flashlight trembling, but the room was empty. Then I felt it. A breath against my neck. The flashlight clattered to the floor as I bolted out of the house. I didn't stop running until I was in my car, locking the doors and driving away without looking back. The next morning, I called Mrs. Hargrove to tell her what had happened. She sounded confused. "What phone?" she asked. "The one in the guest room," I said. There was a long pause. "I don't have a phone in the guest room," she replied. "I still don't know who or what was calling me that night. All I know is I'll never step foot in that house again. And if you ever hear a phone ring late at night, don't answer it. You won't believe what may happen if you do."